Good evening and welcome to Emerson Institute at City of Light. I'm Reverend Dr. Paul Gretz, and I'm delighted to welcome you to tonight's class, Spiritual Economics. Butterworth, and it's been a great study for us. This is session number 6. Us. Now, if this is your first time with us, don't worry about it. Each chapter is individual, and we're expressing great joy as we study and great interest as we study each chapter individually. We're glad that you're with us tonight, so let's get ready for a great study together. Let's prepare our hearts, because let me tell you this. The Spirit of God is ready to speak to us and really unfold infinite wisdom in our hearts and our lives. So we want to make sure that we are set our consciousness, our thoughts. Let's just set our vibrational frequency to be in alignment with right here, right now. Maybe your thoughts have drifted off. Maybe you've come with a lot of stress to this moment. Maybe you've come with a lot of cares of the day. But let's just bring our thoughts right now, right here, right now, in this moment. God has something special for us. Now, to do that, we're going to join in a little breathing exercise. We're going to breathe in through our nose, hold for a brief moment, and release stress and tension as we do this. So let's breathe together, all right? Breathe in and release. Breathe in and release. Deep breath in and release. And in this moment of silence, set your intention. Express the desire that you have within your heart, what you'd like to receive or what you'd like to achieve during this time that we study together. Just name it right now. And so it is. How powerful it is that as we set intention, the Spirit of God is eager and ready and ever generous to meet the very needs and desires of our heart. But we have to make that choice because we live in the realm of free will. So the Spirit of God is waiting for us to set intention. That's why we do this each time for our class sessions, because the Spirit of this wonderful universe that is ever so generous, ever so giving, ever so loving, wants to fulfill the desires of your heart, knows it, and is ready even before we even ask. So it's prepared, but we're giving permission as we set intention. This is exactly what we desire, whether it be greater insight, greater understanding, clarity of mind, deeper truth, whatever it is that you're naming, the Spirit of God is waiting for you to make that choice. Set that intention. As we do, we just want to welcome then that Spirit unfolding exactly what we've expressed, claiming it right now. Let's dig into session number 6 on spiritual economics. And it opens up with this. Jesus says, "And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." This is so life is caused by our acceptance of erroneous thinking and erroneous beliefs. We're called to be people of righteousness, and righteousness simply means right thinking. So as we walk in righteousness, we are walking in truth, and truth is unfolding for us. But what happens is so often in life, what's holding us back from our great success, from our opportunities for really achieving our highest and best, is that we've accepted or bought into erroneous beliefs. Beliefs of fear, beliefs of lack, beliefs that things are impossible, beliefs that we're not good enough, beliefs that we're not worthy. All these kind of things are erroneous beliefs or errors in false beliefs. So one of the big challenges we have and in our spiritual journey is to release these beliefs that no longer serve us. And as a pastor, quite often, my work now for 43 years as a spiritual coach has been to help people let go of erroneous beliefs. More than helping them to find new beliefs, it's helping them to let go and release, because they can't really welcome something new until they're willing to let go of something old. And so a lot of the work that I'm doing as your spiritual coach is helping you to come to the place where you can say, you're right, this no longer serves me. or I realize this is no longer a belief that is manifesting my highest and best. And I realize that as I look at spiritual truth, I realize this is an erroneous belief, and I need to let it go. I need to release it. So this is really the work that we're doing in our spiritual growth, is learning to relearn or to unlearn a lot of the errors that life is. So when it comes to spiritual economics, there's really one area where we have a lot of error or erroneous thinking. And that's really has to do about our attitudes towards work. When it comes to spiritual economics, nothing is more basic or more fulfilled with mistaken beliefs than our attitude, the attitude towards work. And a bad attitude, well, it's like a flat tire. You can't get very far until you change it. So that's right. We've got to change these bad attitudes, these erroneous beliefs about work. And the real question is, why do you work? Now, many of you may be retired, but why did you work, or why did you take on this job or task, or why are you doing the work things that you're doing now, even though it may not be for employment, for a paycheck? The real question is, what are you getting out of the labor, of the work, of the efforts that you are sharing in this world or putting out? Because if you respond always in terms of, well, I go to work and I go to work to get a paycheck, I go to work to get benefits, I go to work to get, some sort of perks. That's right. You're underpaid if that's your reason. Not that your employer is inadequately compensating you, but what we're referring to is your narrowness of vision. And you're shortchanging yourself by saying, I only work for a paycheck. Oh, there's so much more in the realm of rewards for us when we change our attitude around this. These erroneous beliefs. Because work is and should be considered by every worker as a giving process. That's right. As we go to work, it should be a giving process. Jesus said, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth. Matthew 6, verse 3. Don't get trapped in the error of equating what you earn with the work that you do. Because then what happens is that we are just so tied into the paycheck. Those people are so tied into, I took this job because of the amount of money I was going to make, are slaves then to that job, and there isn't a sense of reward and fulfillment because they took the job because, well, it paid well, versus did I enjoy it, and is it an opportunity for me to give back in this world? So if the left hand, receiving the pay, knows what the right hand does, the work of your job, then there's no real giving. There's only bartering. I work for a check. I work for a check. The only reason I go to work is for a check. And so we're bartering there in our attitude. It becomes more, this is an erroneous belief that we're missing out on something really crucial for our life. For the motivations that direct us to do things is from the level of consciousness, the level of understanding and thinking and awareness. So what we really want to understand is this, that every day you should earn your wings, not to please your employer, but for your spiritual well-being. That you go to work not to get a paycheck, but to please your own spiritual well-being. What you do in your work every day may not affect your salary, but it vitally affects your focus on consciousness that regulates the flow of affluence in your life. So many people will go to work and say, I'm working for this minimum wage. I'm working for this small wage. And I'm just hating my job. I'm not liking it because I'm bartering and I'm not winning out. Instead of going and saying, this is my opportunity to share. And I am not attached to that paycheck. Let me tell you this. The greatest advice that my father gave me as a young man going into the field of ministry is never ask the salary before you say yes to the job. Wow. A lot of my peers said, are you crazy? You mean you would take a job that would maybe pay you less than what you're worth? I said, here's my point. I'm not tied to the paycheck. The paycheck is not the signature of my divine source. God is my source. And the paycheck is just one of the ways that the divine source is unfolding for me. So I've taken a job where I had one where I left a job at $50,000 a year and took a job, said yes to it, only to discover they were only going to pay me $18,000. Woo! Talk about a reduction. But I knew this is where God wanted me. And I was not afraid when the board of directors told me, we're going to try, keyword, try to pay you. Not that we will, but we're going to try to pay you $18,000. Okay. But you see why I wasn't panicking or being afraid? Because I knew that God was there to take care of me if I was in alignment, that I was in the right place, the place where I felt I should be, to do the work of giving back to this world. Well, I knew that God would take care of me. I knew that there would be financial blessings of abundance, not just through the check that came from the church, not just through that source, but through unlimited ways, that there was going to be a divine provision for me. And let me tell you this, I'm so glad I said yes to that job, because when I completed 7 years of service with that congregation, I was so immensely blessed. That salary just began to increase and increase. Things began to grow and develop for me. I was abundantly blessed in so many powerful and amazing ways. You see, that's the way the Spirit of God works when our purpose for work is not a paycheck, but for the spirit of giving and of sharing, of time and talent, of giving back to the world. When we come from that perspective, we're going to find it's so much more rewarding what we're doing. And what happens is we're earning our wings, not to please our employer, but for our spiritual well-being, shall we say. For life is a growing process, and we grow through giving. Do you realize that? Work should be this experience of growth. So how will you be giving at work? That's what it's all about. Work is this wonderful experience for growth, and life is this growing, stretching, evolving process. And how do we grow the greatest, the quickest, the fastest? It's through our giving. Giving of our time. Giving of our talents. Giving of our treasures. When we're there in the spirit of giving, we're going to find ourselves expanding. In the spirit of sharing, we are called here to be the essence of the divine, and the essence of the divine, or God revealed, that's what we're called to be. God revealed is generosity, sharing, giving. And when we learn the spirit of giving in all aspects of our life, we're going to find immense rewards coming to us. So our whole attitude is going to change. Matthew 5, verse 25 says, agree with thine adversary. Okay. This text is so important and far deeper than what so many people have looked at this as. We're thinking, okay, I got to agree with someone who has a different perspective than me. I have to agree. Is that what it's saying? What it really means is to settle those adverse feelings that you have in your own heart and mind. This is our power, our choosing to do so or not. So what's bothering you? Agree with thine adversary. In other words, find a way of agreement with that, whatever is troubling you. Not that you agree to accept it, but that you find, wait a minute, this is an awareness. What is bothering me in my life? What about my ego is irritating me? What about my personality is really troubling me? And I need to find agreement, or in other words, find out what it is and settle it. Dr. David Carter has a comment or a question.
Yeah, I have a comment.
Comment.
Once upon a time, I worked in the prison system, and they were giving out incentive raises rather.
So David says he worked for the prison system, and they were giving out incentive pay.
Incentive raises.
Incentive raises.
And I was passed over.
And you were passed over.
Right. Okay. So of course I was upset, because I work hard. I come to work early, do my job, and stay there till it's done. Not looking for overtime. But I had to make peace with the fact that I didn't get it.
Yes.
I was always reared to believe that you do an honest day's work, so you give it all you got.
Making peace with it.
Yeah. 6 months later, I was promoted, and my lieutenant said, everybody involved in the incentive raise process made the comment, Carter's work ethic is going to drop. Because Carter feels that, overlooked and unappreciative. He said, but I told them that I knew you, and I knew that your work ethic would not change, and it didn't. And I wound up being the person, I was promoted the fastest to sergeant at that prison system.
So settling the attitude, even though you were disappointed, offering a great work ethic of giving and good work, a spirit and attitude in your work was immensely rewarded. And David was, what was it, the fastest? Or
the fastest correctional officer promoted.
Fastest correctional officer promoted. Wonderful. I'm just trying to relate it to make sure that everyone in our live streaming experience can hear exactly what he's saying in his comments. Here's why it's so important. Settle what's going on within you, because your adversary is really you, not someone else. Because what we may find adversarial is how we view someone else. And remember, that's about us and what's going on in us. So we may find that we're uncomfortable, we dislike someone, and we have to say, wait. Why do I dislike this person? Is there something in me that I see in them that I'm uncomfortable with? Is there something going on? Is there something that pushes a button inside me? I need to settle that. And that's what the scripture is make some sort of agreement. In other words, settle with that which is troubling you in your journey of your life. Settle with that which is bothering, irritating you. Too often that which irritates us and troubles us and is an adversary, we push under the rug. Because we don't take time to really analyze and say, wait a minute, what's going on here? Why am I troubled? Why am I upset? What is it? And quite often, people who are upset, remember, and they may say something to us because they're troubled inside, and then we take it personally. But remember, everything that's going on or people say or think or do is about them. Has nothing to do with you. Because you may be touching something adversarial within them, their own thinking, their own insecurities, their own failures, their own lack of confidence, their own lack of a sense of belief in themselves, or an envious spirit or jealousy. That also comes from this spirit of lack, of thinking that you don't have it. So you're jealous of someone else. And so that ego rises up within you. This is why it's so important that we do a little self-analysis and go in and say, wait a minute, what is this adversary? What is really irritating me? What is bothering me? And let me take time to really name it and settle it and work through it. And when we do, we're on a pathway for great success in our life. Because when you discipline yourself, you really can earn your wings every day. Because one of two things is going to happen. Number one, your consciousness will bring about a change in the job, making it right for you and you for the company. When you change your attitude about your work, why am I here? Oh, I hate this. Oh, I can't stand this. But you change your attitude. I get to go to work to give and make this place a better place. Now, this can be applied to us as volunteers for those who us in any way that we're offering any kind of talent or skill in the world. How are we offering it? Are you doing it begrudgingly? Are you doing it with a sense of just, boy, I'm not rewarded enough? Well, what happens is that you will earn your wings. That means you're going to be able to soar. You're going to be able to fly. You're going to really take off in this world. Because number two, another job will probably open up for you. Possibly a transfer will come to pass in a way that is beneficial to all concerned. So there's all kinds of pathways of blessings that come to you when you open the door. When we remove this erroneous thinking that we're here in a job just for a paycheck, instead that we're here to work, to volunteer, to give of service, to make the world a better place. Steve.
If you look at your job maybe more holistically, instead of just measuring it narrowly, like, well, they only value me if they increase my salary or they promote me. There could be a number of other things. It could be maybe you get benefits, and you notice others aren't getting the benefits.
Right.
I experienced that when I first got a job. at the grocery store is they promoted me really fast to full time and gave me benefits. And another thing was being accommodating, like giving me the schedule that I would like. If I had to leave for whatever reason on an emergency, they were very accommodating. There's a lot of ways that your job can value you other than
just the paycheck.
Right.
And let me tell you this.
Yeah.
Again, when we're tied into the paycheck, what we're saying is we're living on a fixed income. Woo! I'm going to tell you this. That is so unscriptural to say I live on a fixed. What you're saying is I live in a limited world. I live on a limited income. There's nothing biblical about that. For we live in the realm of infinite possibilities and incredible abundance in our spiritual journey. So there's no way that one should ever claim that I'm tied to my paycheck, but that I live in the realm of incredible abundance that God can provide for me in all kinds of ways. Let me tell you, down through the course of my life, I've received infinite blessings from all kinds of sources, unique and unbelievable places where I'm like, wow, I never would have thought blessing would come from this. I never thought blessing would come from that. You know, this was not a way that I even thought or comprehended that goodness and a bounty or a blessing would come to me, you know? Yes, Ann.
You know, it was so fortunate for me to get into school nursing. And we were on the teacher's salary guide, but I didn't even have a concept because I had not managed the money in my marriage, and I was single now. And I heard the teachers talking one day, and they said, you know, you can, if you earn a certain number of graduate credits, you can earn $1,500 extra a year. And so I said, well, I'm going to school. My parents always valued education. And so I did, and as long as you got an A or a B, it was paid for.
Wow.
And the benefit, you know, but the greatest thing that would happen, one of my schools said to me, you know, it's always fun when you come here. And we did. We made fun with the children, with each other, not stupid stuff. I mean, it was adult fun. And that's what made it nice, when you can take that attitude and put it in a nice place instead of adversarial.
Right.
Yeah.
Going to work with a sense of what can I do to make the world a better place? How can I give? What can I give back? What can I do? Oh, and when we're in that attitude, then we're not tied in any way to the paycheck. And we should never be tied to the paycheck anyway, because your income is not, your life is not tied to your paycheck, your Social Security, your retirement, whatever. You live in the realm of infinite blessing and abundance. Years ago, I drove a 1996 Honda Civic, and it was a nice car. I loved it, you know. But there was someone who came into my life who was quite wealthy. And they would fly into Atlanta and said, you know, would you mind? You live by the airport. Normally, I hire a car or a taxi. Would you mind picking me up at the airport and driving me into church when I fly in? I said, well, I'm going right by it. There's no problem. And this person said, and I'll pay you. And I thought, well, that was a lovely thought, but you don't need to pay me. I'm going to church anyway. I'd be glad to give you this ride. So they would fly into the airport. I'd pick them up and drive. And they said, you know what? I can't drive. I can't ride in this Honda Civic. This is a little tiny car going through Atlanta traffic. You know what? You need a better car, Pastor. And they wrote me a check and said, go out and buy a Mercedes. And lo and behold, I bought a nice Mercedes, and lo and behold, I was able to give them a ride all the time. And they were thrilled that I had gotten a more safe, stronger, stable car, shall we say, for them to ride in. And that was gratitude for them, and they had the means to do so. This is what I'm saying. I've been blessed in so many ways that we're not limited to my paycheck. So I don't live on a fixed income. And my paycheck does not decide my shall we say, my income. No, I'm not fixed to it. In fact, some days I forget actually how much I make or whatever I have to ask on, because I don't really care. Because you know why? Not because I'm frivolous or not because I'm not a good steward, because I'm not tied to that. I live in the realm of infinite blessing, and blessing has flowed in so abundant ways, coming from unique and unusual sources. But that's how God works. So let's just release this erroneous thinking that you are tied to your paycheck or you are limited by your paycheck. Instead, let's just welcome this new attitude that says, I go to work to give. I go to work to make the world a success. I go to the world to make the world a better place. Because success is the most natural thing in the world. That's right. The person who does not succeed has placed him or herself in opposition to the laws of the universe. Do you understand that? Scripture says in Jeremiah that God has plans for you, and those plans are for you to prosper. Success. God's intention for your life is you come to this world for success, to be in prosperity, to be in blessing. Somehow we've welcomed an erroneous thought, or we welcomed a belief that, you know what, I'm limited, it's not possible, the abundance of God isn't available for me, it's not going to be there. And the only one who can keep you from succeeding is you. And you're the one blocking your own creative flow. The only one who stands in your way of success is you. That's right. You and your attitude about anything that you are experiencing in life. What is your attitude? Is there an adversary there? Is there ego? Is there a problem? Is there a thought? Whatever is bothering you, it's time to make amends with it, to settle that. And when you do, you release the divine flow. Because there may be like a dam in your life holding back this divine flow of blessing, and that can be simply your attitude. It can be simply the way you're thinking about your job, your career, about something in life, whatever it may be. And when you release all of that and you settle all of that and you understand, wait a minute, I need to release this erroneous belief, you open the door for an immense success in your life, for it's God's intention for you to be successful. Now, this is so contrary to the upbringing that I had in my fundamentalist church, the upbringing I had in the Pentecostal experience of my childhood, where it was like, you know what? God's real intention for you is to be modest, moderate, simple, average. Don't think about, only haughty, arrogant people think about success. You need to be plain. You need to be just very, very conservative. Because there's not enough to go around. So we want to conserve, only because we don't believe that there's enough in the world. And most conservative people who think about conserving constantly have a stronger lack consciousness. They don't believe there's enough to go around. So that fear that there's not enough to go around says we need to cut back because there's not enough. But when we change our whole thinking to a scriptural and spiritual thinking, that we live in the realm of a God of abundance, our conservative attitudes change immensely. And we begin to understand that we can be liberal, we can be free, we can be generous, we can give and we can share. And here's what happens is the more we share in the world, the more the bounty of blessing comes back to us. If we learn that this is a cycle of blessing, what you sow, you reap. And sowing is sharing. Sowing is giving. So when you go to work and you're sowing, when you go to work and you're sharing, when you go to work and you're giving, you're going to reap back in immense ways. And the immense ways are infinite possibilities because your attitude opens the gateway for all kinds of blessings, not through just your paycheck, although they may come there, not just through your employer, although they may come there. There's a bounty of avenues that are available to you for blessing to come to your life. But it begins with this attitude of I am here to give, and I can give freely because I know there's enough. There's plenty in the world. And
success is at the level of ego. You know, in God's eyes, there's no such thing as unsuccess.
Yes, love that.
You know, I used to compare myself all the time with my roommate in nursing who went in the Air Force and flew medevac for Vietnam. And here I was raising kids and snot and everything else. But you know what? It was both we were both being successful at what we were doing. It's just that we weren't doing the same thing. Yeah. Yeah, that occurred to me because I went a long time thinking, oh, I've not been successful because I married and had children, and that's not true at all.
But that's a beautiful comment. I appreciate that. I love that because that's a segue into the rest of our notes where it says the success syndrome. We are conditioned that we must always be getting ahead and there is no rest until we reach the top. So we often compare ourselves with other people and think, well, they're getting ahead. You know, this person as a nurse has gone there and here I am at home taking care of kids. I didn't reach the top or whatever. And yet there are those who are maybe in a more corporate context where they're always trying to reach the top. And when you get to the top, then what? Then what do you do? Is this as good as it gets? You see, what happens is then a lot of people harbor a sense of failure in their life. The question is, are we looking for recognition or are we looking for the opportunity of giving from the source of knowing who I am? Big difference. You know, I'm going to tell you this. Some of the most rewarding experiences in my life are not the days I get paid, but the most rewarding experiences in my life are the days when I've given time and talent and treasure. They've been the most memorable moments of my life. And I think about ministry and as a pastor, the incredible gift I have of an opportunity to give back. You know, I've told the Emerson Institute staff and people, I'd pay you to be able to teach these classes. Well, don't take me up on that. Just kidding. But I love it so much. I don't need a paycheck for doing these things. I'm enjoying it. There are so many rewards in the opportunity to give back through the vehicle of teaching. I am having the time of my life. I can walk away from some of these classes and going, wow, that was a lot of fun. That was really enjoyable. That was very rewarding. That was $1 million experience. That's sometimes the way I feel because I'm enjoying this and I am finding the great rewards from giving. They're far greater than the rewards of some sort of monetary. Now, the monetary gifts are great. They are energy for us to do things in this world and necessary. I get that. But let me tell you this. The spirit of giving just ignites a cycle of blessing. And the more you're willing to give of your time, your talent, and your treasure from the consciousness that I live in the realm of abundance, and what I give is just part of the divine flow, and there's more yet to come. There's more yet to come. Yes, Ann.
You know what? There's no price tag on a good, honest, deep, mutual friendship.
Yes.
You know, you can't buy that. So that's part of life, what you're saying.
Yes, there are so many things that are priceless,
Right.
that are so rewarding for our lives. And we think sometimes our greatest success is how big is our paycheck, you know? Or is our greatest success in how much we gave? Okay, so let's look at this. Mother Teresa, who made a lot of sacrifices and gave immensely, felt the wealth and abundance and richness because of the spirit of giving in her life and felt this wonderful sense of contentment. And through that, she was blessed. She was taken care of. Many of her books sold, and every one of her needs were being met. And all that she desired was there for her, because in the spirit of giving and generosity, she ignited this wonderful cycle of blessing. Because let me tell you, God's plan is for you to succeed. You are the only one who stands in the way of that success. And that success comes to you in so many ways of peace, joy, contentment, love, grace, friendship, a sense of accomplishment, great joy in it. How about it? Do you have some sort of task that you do in life that you get a sense of great accomplishment or a sense of fulfillment in? I know someone who has great joy in getting the laundry done and just loves to do laundry. And by the time folding laundry and feeling this job is completed is a great sense of completion and self-gratification. There's some people who love to vacuum and see the lines in the carpet. And I had a friend who said, I love to vacuum. When I see those lines in the carpet, I know the carpet is clean, and I have a self-gratification. No one's paying that. No one's providing me money to do it. I'm doing it out of the spirit of generosity, but I find a self-gratification that comes from it. How about taking care of a pet? Some people really find incredible self-gratification in caring for a loved one, a pet, or someone else. And the joy and the reward they're experiencing is so immense. It is found in the spirit of giving, and that's where they're finding great success. Because success is not getting there. Success is earning the right in consciousness to be there. Let's think about that. It's not getting there, but it's earning the right in our thoughts and our beliefs to be there. Two persons can arrive at the top of their field. One has clawed his or her way up and continues to fearfully hold on for their dear life because within they feel like they're not sure that they really belong there. And the other is there because they've earned their wings and they know they belong there. Big difference. You know, I've given time, I've given talent. I belong here because of the giving spirit, the generosity of offering time, talent, the attitude that I've shared with the world that I'm in. The standard of living becomes more important than any other standard for living. We need a new model of success where the good life refers to more to values than to valuables. Okay? We need a new standard. It's more about values in life rather than about valuables. Remember, consciousness is the key. Make a new commitment to think of your work not as a place to make a living, but an opportunity to make a life. That's right, to make a life, to give, to share. I have to tell you this, as a young man, I had the opportunity to travel throughout Western Kenya as a teacher. There were very little financial rewards, but I was able to make an incredible life experience, something that was so grounded in values and not valuables. And I'm so grateful for the experience of coming into a village and meeting with people who were hungry and eager to learn. Wow, as a teacher, how wonderful it is to be with an environment just, it's like you saw people almost there like with a knife and a fork and a plate ready. Feed me spiritually, teach me, I want to learn. I came and I walked miles to come to this gathering in this village for you to speak, and I really am hungry for education to learn and teach me. What a rewarding experience. Priceless. It was more about the value of giving in those moments than a paycheck. Because, let me tell you, I lived on very simple means, but the rewards were immense. I felt like a millionaire at the end of a day where I could share nuggets of truth to people who are so hungry to learn that they would give up everything to be there, eager to learn and to study and to really improve themselves through the spiritual education that was offered. I want to tell you this. You are a channel. You have the mind of Christ. It's available for you. You have a Christ mind. Your mind is one with the same mind that is the genius, the creator. Your mind is the same. The successful, the affluent, the whole universe, I should say, is on your side, guiding your hands and directing your footsteps in the way you go. When you understand this, that your mind and the mind of God are one. For as you allow that infinite wisdom, the Holy Spirit, if you read your Bible, will reveal all truth to you, it says. This spirit of wholeness, this spirit of completion, Jesus spoke to it as a comforter, something that's going to guide you. when you are frightened and afraid and you don't know where to turn or what to do, the Holy Spirit, this divine wisdom, this infinite knowing of that we call God, this Holy Spirit is there to show you, reveal to you, to teach you, to guide you. Read your Bible. It's all there. And this is where we've got to embrace this spiritual teaching, that this incredible mind of God is yours when you open yourself to it. So I think one of our great prayers each day is, let the mind of Christ be mine today. Or instead of let, I know the mind of Christ is mine today. In your note packet, you'll find Dr. Paul's attitude shaper, molder, and maker. And it is this: I am God's living enterprise, and God cannot fail. I would encourage you to write this and repeat this to yourself every day. I am God's living enterprise. Investment. That's right. God invested in me. God created me. I am here for a divine purpose. God said I am here for a divine purpose, for I am sent of God. Okay? A lot of people think, well, wait a minute. God so loved the world that he sent Jesus. Do you believe that Jesus is the only one that God sent? Oh no. There was a man named John, sent of God. We read in another passage. Well, there's all kinds of experiences of people being sent of God. And you have all been sent of God. Sent of God as the living enterprise that says, God says, I want to be revealed through you. And God says, I cannot fail. So how about you embracing that thought that says, I cannot fail? But, we've said, no, I fail. I'm not very good. I'm not very this. I'm not very that. Shame on you. Because what you're saying is the God in you is not any of that. But the God in you is amazing. The God in you is powerful. The God of you is in you is infinite possibilities, is infinite wisdom. So start claiming it. Start living in the way that you know I cannot fail, because the God in me cannot fail. And I've been sent of God. And I am God's living enterprise, investment. Nothing can impede the flow of affluence or success to the one who keeps oneself in tune. In tune with God, you can't fail. You just can't fail. It's not possible. You can't fail when you are in tune with God. For God cannot fail. And the God in you is at work. So as we close tonight's class session, let's look at some of these questions that we need to talk about. What attitudes towards work or volunteering or labor of any type can I change? How about anything? You may be retired and maybe you're asking, what attitude do I have about, taking care of my home or cooking or any kind of chore or task I may do or volunteering? What can I do to change instead? How can I make it more of a giving, sharing experience or an expression of God instead? What will I do differently to earn my wings? That's right. To be able to soar, to fly, to rise above all this. What can I do differently that enabled me to be that wonderful one with wings that soars above all challenges? And I need to agree with my adversary, this ego, and I need to settle some things. So what things do I need to deal with right now? Right now. Because there are some things within our ego that trouble us, bother us, and they are adversarial. They are contrary to your highest and best. That's what is adversarial, okay? Satan is referred to as the adversary. Adversarial thoughts are that of being negative, being doubtful, being stressful, being angry, being jealous, being envious, all those kind of things. We need to go through and do a little ego cleansing. That's right. Washing out all those things that we may need to settle or deal with. And what roadblocks am I holding that hinder me from my great success? What thoughts, what erroneous beliefs are holding me from my great success? My father, as a minister, would always, I could hear him saying it over and over again to mother and to us as a family. You know, they only want you when you're young. And you know what? As you grow older, nobody's going to want you to be the minister. Nobody's going to want you to pastor. So he instilled this fear of aging, that he was no longer valuable. And so what happened is that he began to believe that his value was being diminished with each year that he matured more and more. And that was a belief. And yet we find some great sages and powerful teachers, great leaders in our world who are extremely mature, living well in their 70s, 80s, 90s, and making a difference in this world. But when we start buying into these ideas that we are not valuable unless we're young, we're not valuable in today's society, that we have nothing to contribute, again, that becomes a roadblock to our own success. Most recently, one of my great inspirations, Reverend Dr. Joyce Reynolds, passed away. I would talk with Joyce and she inspired me. As I believe an 85-year-old woman, she was teaching classes and just going full-time as an inspiration, touching people's lives and making a difference in this world. And I always said, Joyce, I want to be you when I grow up. That's right. I always said to her, Joyce, I want to be you. You're my role model in life. You know, she said, I'm not aging, I'm youthing. That was one of her phrases. I'm just youthing. I'm feeling the divine energy flowing through my life. I'm not surrendering to this world's concept that suddenly because you're of a certain age, you are no longer of value, you're no longer able to make a difference, you have nothing more to contribute. Oh, only the young can contribute to our world. You see, these are the ideas that sometimes we buy into that are this erroneous thinking, this false belief that say you're not going to be successful or are holding you back from your God-ordained success. God-ordained. God has already ordained for your life to experience its highest and best. God has already ordained that when you came into this world, your whole journey would be one of prosperity and blessing. It's up to us to choose that, to allow the infinite design that God had for us in this life to unfold. So I'm glad you joined us for this class tonight, and I hope that you are understanding that the truth is going to set you free. And the truth is releasing some of these erroneous ideas and accepting the power of God and God's infinite blessing in our life, and that we're able then to welcome the spirit of giving in a generous way, giving of time, talent, and treasures of so much, because we know in God there's no limitation. There's more yet to come. Isn't that amazing? There is more yet to come. I want to tell you this. When did you wake up to the knowledge that you are immortal? That's right. There's more yet to come. You're living this life. You're living this life here and now. But let me tell you this, there's more yet to come. You have always been. You were with God from the very beginning. You are now living in this time and this moment, and you are a life right here and now. But you are eternal life as well. And that soul will never die. It is eternal and will go on and on. There's more yet to come. Isn't that exciting? So give generously of your life. Give generously of your time, your talents, and knowing there's more to be experienced, more yet to come in the journey of eternity. There's more. When we realize that and we live in that consciousness, then the spirit of sharing and giving flows freely within us. We know that we can give generously because we live in divine flow. And the divine flow is saying, there's more yet to come. There's more yet to come. I'm so glad you joined us tonight for this class. And so what we'd love to hear is your takeaway from this class study. What spoke to you? What really touched your heart and life? I'd love to know that. I'd love to hear back from you because I love this exchange. I'm not here just to impart information, but I'd love for you to feed back to me that which you have experienced or your aha moments. They often teach me and reinforce in me things that I want to hold dear to my life. So I appreciate it so much as an instructor. I love to hear what your takeaway is, and I love us to learn on this level rather than it's always this level top down, but we're sharing together in community and learning from one another. I appreciate that so much. So take a moment to share what your takeaway is from tonight's class. And while we're waiting to hear from those joining us through live streaming, we're going to go around our class and ask our students who are in our in-person experience to share their takeaway. Let me tell you this also. If you're viewing this class and you're watching it, please let us know. We love to know who's watching and where you're from and connect with you because we're so excited how many people are being touched by the Emerson Institute at City of Light. We're thrilled to know that there are people around the world who are watching these classes. I am so delighted that there are students from Bangladesh, a student from the Philippines, those who are watching from various European countries, those who are signing in and letting us know from all across the United States, etc. It's just a joy to know that so many people are tuning in to the Emerson Institute. But we love to know where we're touching lives. It inspires us, and we want to do even more. So let us know. Check in with us, or just type your name. Hey, I watched you, or I viewed this class session. Like it or click on it, but let us know so that there's some level of communication. Wonderful. So let's go around our classroom and let's find out what your takeaway. Let's go over here to Dave. And Dave, tell me what's your takeaway from tonight's class session?
Success in life is not always about money. Success I learned from my dad when I was a small child. He always told me, do the best job that you can and your rewards will come later. I failed at many things that I did, but he would always remind me, success will come if you give it 100% and do the best job you can. And he was right. And he was a godly man. And he loved the Lord and took very much the things that we learned throughout our lives very seriously. He was my toughest critic. But he told me, to be successful, you've got to do the best job that you can and give 100% every time you do it. So this is pretty much what we're talking about in our work.
Beautiful. Excellent. Let's go over to Anne. What's your takeaway from tonight's class?
Ralph Waldo Emerson said, in order to have a friend, you need to be a friend.
Right.
And that carries over into my thinking. There's no price tag on that, number one. So what Dave said, it's not about the money, but also it emphasizes to me that adversarial thinking is contrary to my highest and best. And so if I can get my thoughts and my feelings straightened out for myself, then my highest is best is right there. It's right there for me to have. So
I love that. Removing those roadblocks. If we can just do like, what's bothering me? What is causing this fear, this questioning, this distress, this anxiety, this jealousy, this envy, and goes the list, Let's do some analysis. Wonderful. I love that. Thank you, Anne. Let's go to Steve. Tell me what your takeaway is from tonight's session.
I like this quote by the Greek philosopher Zeno. The most important part of learning is to unlearn our errors.
Yep. Learn what not to do. You know how it is. An archer pulls back the bow to release the arrow, hitting the target. And when he learns what his error is, he can correct it and become more successful to hit the target. So true it is in our life when we learn what crazy beliefs are we holding on to? What errors are we need to release them if we're going to hit the bullseye, if we're going to hit the target. The whole concept of sin is that you've missed the mark. That's all it is. You've missed the mark. It's error thinking. So let's stop with the error thinking and welcome the right thinking and start releasing these errors and welcoming the correction or the alignment or the thinking that we need to do to unfold the highest and best. Dr. David Carter, what's your takeaway from tonight's session?
I like the first quote in the box. It says, a bad attitude is like a flat tire. You can't get very far until you change it. So you change your thinking, you change your life. But change your thinking to positive things. Seeing only the good. Understanding that you're a child of God. Understanding your divinity. Because I think once you start understanding your divinity, you see the divinity in other people, and it changes your whole perspective. But until then, you'll struggle and keep going, ride on the rims, and you're just miserable. And when the rims give out, sometimes that's when we figure it out. Oh, I need to change my attitude.
Beautiful. Excellent takeaway. Do we have any other students?
Yes, Chris Starkey.
Chris Starkey, great.
Over time, I've learned that I'm generally not ready for the next job / situation until I fully embrace my current job or situation, so I can release it. It all starts with me.
Beautiful. Great comment. Thank you, Chris. Anyone else? Glad to have you joining us, Chris. We appreciate you coming in each class. Welcome. And
the quote that Steve liked, that talks to me of forgiveness. We're all making mistakes. We're all making errors. And how important it is to remember to forgive ourselves and others so we can learn.
We're all making mistakes. We need to learn to forgive ourselves. Yes. Beautiful. Yes. David Carter.
I have a question.
Question, all right?
Okay, earlier you were talking about, remember what you said? You were talking about people that irk us, or people that there's something about them we don't like when we see them. Okay, so how do you balance that with the thought that Neville Goddard, for instance, says when you see a person and you don't like the person, that it's really not the person, because the person is a child of God like you. But if you're not spiritually aware, you'll think that you dislike the person. And he says it's actually the spiritual state they're in. He says, so you might dislike the state if you're in a state of poverty, in a state of thievery or whatever, but it's never the person. Okay, but so if you're spiritually aware and someone comes into your environment and immediately something is off with you about that person, is it you as well as the state they're in?
Yes, because there can be two different things. One can be that we're upset about the state of poverty or the state of their thinking.
Yeah.
And so we feel upset or troubled by the state of this homeless person or whatever it may be.
Right.
But then there's also something that pushes a button by something. I don't like his attitude. He's really pompous and arrogant. And then we're like, are we jealous? What's going on inside of us that's condemning or judging that person in that way? So we have to look inside our own life as to, is there something within us that we need to correct or align as to why you don't care for this person, or you find them, I just think they're arrogant, pompous, and all about themselves. And you really, wait a minute, is it that you're jealous or that you're envious, or you believe that, who do they think they are that they're so blessed? Jealousy is one of the worst things that we can do, because what jealousy is saying is that it's reinforcing lack. Because you see something in someone else and you don't believe it can happen for you, you're jealous. But let me tell you this, when you see blessing in someone else, you should say, thank you, God, that you won the lottery, whatever it may be. I'm not jealous, because I know if blessing can happen for one, it can happen for another. And you're just a wonderful demonstration of what's possible for me. Now, it may not be that you win the lottery, but blessing from God is available to us in every way. So we should never be jealous. Someone, oh, wow, you're driving that new car, or you got a new house, or who are you that you've got all this wonderful blessings in life? You should say, oh, wow, thank you, God, for demonstrating to me that if God can bless you, God can bless me. So if you've gotten these things and you've achieved these goals, or you've made something wonderful happen, that means I can happen too. It can happen for me, because if it happens for one, it can happen for all. And that's the beautiful thing. So we need never be jealous. Yes, David.
So this is another question.
Another question.
You talked about your experience with the Honda Civic.
Yeah.
And the person who was a friend who wrote your check and said, "Buy a Mercedes, so I can't ride in this little bitty vehicle."
Yeah.
Okay, so was it in your consciousness that you needed a new vehicle, and that's the manifestation of what was in your consciousness? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, it was, because I drove this car and I was like, it's paid for, it's good. Consciousness was saying, I don't want a new car because I don't want a car payment, okay? So the conscience says, okay, so you could have a car as long as you didn't have a car payment, right? So here we go. We're going to make this happen for you. So someone just said, here's a check. Go out and buy a new car. And I bought it within those limits of the amount that was given. And I had no car payment, you know? So it was just holding on to that consciousness, you know, that says, I would love a new vehicle, but I don't want a car payment. So the universe says, I'll give you a car. And here we're going to go without a car payment. So how beautiful that was.
So that's like that saying that if I be lifted up in consciousness and higher thinking, a
Yeah.
higher consciousness, I draw all manifestations to myself. So you drew that situation to you by your consciousness.
Exactly. Beautiful. Yes. That's how the spiritual law works in our lives. And when we hold in consciousness, see, God is so generous. Do we get this? And the intention is for us to live in this wonderful generosity of God. But we're the ones holding back and dismissing generosity and not learning how to receive. Oh, Lord, we need to learn how to receive the blessings of God. And that is just to start saying, I know I release all barriers and doubts. I know blessings are coming to me. Infinite blessing is coming to me. I love it when people talk constantly about unexpected income, because we live in a God of unexpected income, of God providing in wonderful and amazing ways and making a way when there seems to be no way, because in our mind constantly we think we're limited, and when God constantly said there is no limitation. So when it seems to be no way, but in God there always is a way. David.
But how do you unlearn, like something, for instance, live within your means? My parents would say that all the time, live within your means, go beyond what you have right here. So you would just say the affirmations that I'm abundantly blessed and with God there's no limit.
Yes, because the person who says live within your means,
Right.
That's a conservative thought.
Right.
And that conservative thought says we need to conserve. And why do we conserve? Because we don't think there's enough, right? So if you're saying, the city says we're going to shut your water off, you need to conserve water. So the thought is there's not enough water, so we conserve. But the only reason we conserve is because we have a fear or a belief that there's not enough. If you had unlimited, what would you do with it? If you had unlimited water, what would you do with it? You would water your lawn, you'd water your flowers, you'd give water away, you'd drink lots of water, you'd have all these kind of things. But as soon as the city says, you're going to be cut off, you then go into a conserving mode. But for those who've embraced the generosity of the Spirit of God, we know that we can be generous. Steve.
This is kind of a topic we could go on for another hour or two, because a lot of people, when they say, I want this, they don't, it's really, when you dig deep, you find out they don't want it. Like, I want a job. I need a job badly. Well, if you won the lottery, would you still be looking for a job? Well, no, I got enough money. Well, then maybe you're not actually looking for a job. If you have the money, what would you do with it? Would you go on and look to be productive or retire? Because some people, their idea of freedom and liberation and happiness is free from all work.
Right.
So it's like, so you're talking about you want retirement is what you want. And then what do we mean by retirement? Some people want to retire from just something bad so they can go in and do something good, but it's still productive. What is your definition of work? Is work that it's something you hate, you got to do it anyway? Or is it a form of play where, you would, like you said, as long as you're giving, as long as you're doing, don't worry about the money. The money will come.
Right.
You're kind of in alignment with your soul.
Right.
So I think it's a matter of trying to narrow down what is it you're really after? What is it you're really talking about? Because this, like I said, this is a topic that we could go into and explore for hours. And maybe that's something we need to consider. Is maybe we need to
There we
take
go.
this one idea and have a whole separate class for it. That's because there's a lot here that I think people really want to get into.
What is it you really, really want? Because it never manifests for you if you don't really want it. So just tossing out lightful suggestions. Oh, yes, I'd love to go to Paris. Okay, you'd like to, but you're not doing anything about going to Paris. But when you really decide you want to go to Paris, you know what? You start planning for it. You get your passport. You look into flight details. You begin to set aside. You begin to start to pack. When you want that, what you really want will manifest for you.
Right.
A lot of people.
And are you looking to be free to do something, or just be free from something?
Right.
Because if you're free from something, it's like, okay, once you're free from it, then what? You don't know. But if you're free to do something, like go to Paris, or do something that you have in mind. I want to do this, and I want to have the freedom to do it. You know, I mean, that's the thing that I think people stumble over, is what is it you're really asking?
Right, exactly. And so many people struggle and say, you know, my prayer wasn't answered, or my desire wasn't achieved. It didn't manifest. Well, my point is, how badly, to what degree, to what level of consciousness did you desire this? Was it like, yeah, it's okay, maybe, kind of, I might like that. That would be all right, you know? Or is it you really, really want this? Okay, Dr. David Carter.
Okay,
and then we'll go to Ann.
Okay, keep with what you just said about wanting to go to Paris. Okay, so you make sure you have a passport, you look at flights, and maybe you look at what parts of Paris you want to visit. But do you get in line like the priest did in the story you told us? I mean, do you go to the airport knowing you don't have a ticket, physically? I mean, do you take it that far?
You could, if that's your faith and the level of your believing.
Okay.
But if it's not your level of believing,
Okay.
and you're like, I'm going to the airport to test this, but it's probably not going to work, you know, it's got to be, I'm going to Paris, and folks, I am leaving. I am leaving. I'm saying goodbye to you. I have cut off the electricity in my home. I have, you know, asked for the mail to be held. I have shut the lights off. I locked the door in my house. I put my dog in kennel for the whole week, and I've gone to the airport expecting I'm leaving for Paris. Okay? That's the level of expectation that's full demonstration.
Okay.
You know, it's if you do that, yes, that's according to the level of your belief, so shall you receive. But if your level is not up there, don't go to the airport and say, you know, well, you know, hey, let's just try that. Maybe I'll get a ticket to go to Paris. And then if I got the ticket, I'll call my friends and say, hey, could you take care of the dog? And could you lock up the house? And I need to do this or that, you know.
Okay, so remember when I packed in my children's house?
Yes.
It took a while, you know, for that to manifest. But if my level of belief had been stronger, would it have
Yes.
happened sooner?
Yes. And, you know, there's a lot of times we say, you know, I'm packing because I'm getting ready, instead of like, I'm packing because I'm moving tomorrow. There's a difference.
Okay.
You know, I already know we set the level of intention that we're there, you know, the level of intention, you know.
Because I never thought about that comment you just made. I just kept telling myself, I know I'm moving, so that's why I'm packing. But not I'm moving tomorrow. You're right, that's
Right.
a huge difference.
It's the level of the intention, to the degree. Your faith will manifest to the degree, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, Peter was invited to walk on water. His instantaneous response was yes, and got out of the boat and started walking on the water. But the degree of faith began to diminish when he looked down at the water and he began to sink. And that's when the Christ consciousness, or Jesus, began to reach out and pull him up. So he rose back up when he raised the degree or the level of faith and believing. So we're all going to sink and we're not going to achieve if our level of degree or belief is so, you know. So, you know, it's, you know, it is according to your belief and to the level. Ann, did you have a comment?
Well, you know, Lynn, who is usually here as a student, called the other night, and she said unexpected income, and we share a lot of times how this has happened to us. She went to a yard sale and bought a book for a dime, and there was $4 worth of forever stamps inside the book.
How fun.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, I'm going to tell you this. Unexpected income comes in all kinds of different ways, you know. I've been in places where someone bought me lunch. Okay, wow, I didn't have to pay. That was a bonus in my life, unexpected income. There's been times when I found a penny on the ground, and I don't poo-poo these pennies and say, it's not of any value, I'll buy a pet. No, that's a symbol of my prosperity, and it comes in all different shapes and forms. But if I can honor and respect that level and say I am blessed with that level and appreciate it, I know that I'm worthy, well, always worthy, but I can open up the doors for a higher level of abundance coming into my life as well, because I appreciate whatever is coming into my way with great gratitude as a sign that God is blessing and that infinite abundance is on. So I love these stories of unexpected income. Yes. How about when you go to CVS and you weren't expecting it, and all of a sudden you get these coupons coming out in this long sheet that keeps coming out, and before you know it, everything you need to buy is there, and you're getting $10 off or $40 off of this or that or whatever. It's amazing. These are just beautiful ways of blessing within our life. So if we're looking for that, and if we're living in that, and I'm going to say it's kind of crazy to call it unexpected, because I'm asking you to expect it, to live in expectancy.
Right.
But so we say surprised, or
you don't know how it's coming.
Right. It is. It's coming, but we don't know how it came or where it came from or what. But we'll always be amazed that blessing is coming our way in infinite possibilities, in unique shapes and forms. It's just wonderful. So, all right, another comment.
So, what affirmation would you give a person if they ask you, well, let's say, for instance, I really want a house, and I'm trying to envision myself in this house. And I'm trying to do this every night, every day, in the middle of the day, I meditate on it. And then all of a sudden, I start conditioning it, thinking, everything that I would want in a house is $700,000. I can't possibly, treat a $700,000 house. That's putting conditions on what you're asking for, right? Instead of just in mind knowing this is the character of what I'm looking for.
Right. It's the feeling. Because let me tell you this, you may get all those $700,000 bells and whistles in the house, and then you're like, what have I got all this stuff for? Do I need 7 bedrooms? Do I need all this kind of stuff? It's like, it's nice to have all those things, but what does I really want to feel? What do I want to feel? I think for me, I want to say, first of all, the language needs to be not I want, but I have. I have a house, and then describe the feeling this house is giving you. Is it a feeling of safety, security, a sense of a place of entertaining others, hospitality? On goes the list. What does it make you feel like? Because it's not about the number of rooms as much as it is the feeling that you have. I feel good. I feel secure. I feel successful. I feel I've achieved. I feel comfortable. I feel loved. Whatever feeling you want.
Okay, so you don't condition it. It's about the feeling. But suppose in the process of saying what you have, that you have this home with this particular feeling, you also add to it, because you don't want to be vague.
Right.
I would like to live in Georgia.
Yeah.
Is that?
No, that's fine. I think there's, these, God knows the desires of your heart, but let's base them, exude the feeling and paint the picture of what you would like, but know that picture may be shifting to match the feeling. So quite often we set a vision board, and the vision board say, I want this car, okay? But the Spirit says, I've got a better one, but this car exudes a feeling or symbolizes a feeling of success and safety and comfort and ability to be take people on, give them a ride, or whatever you want, whatever your feelings are that you want. And then this or something better, because you know what? Scripture says God knows the desires of your heart and is able to give you exceedingly, abundantly more than you ask or think. So when you start picturing in your mind something that you desire, it's about a feeling. And know that God says, yeah, that's really great, but I've got something even better. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be nicer. It's going to be, have these features and all these skills and abilities. It may be even more, but it's exceedingly abundantly above all that you could ask or think.
And wouldn't it be really safer to go for the better?
Yeah.
Because the better is just that, it's better.
Right. So I often would say, Spirit of God, in my humanness, I may not be able to visualize something greater, but this symbolizes the feeling of what I would like to achieve.
Yeah.
But Spirit, I leave it up to you, because I know that you know the desire of my heart, and you know there's something even better that can manifest.
Because I feel like the better means you won't be disappointed.
Yes. I can't tell you how many times that has happened for me. You know, when I set out in buying a home, I thought I wanted this, and this symbolized it. And I almost came down to buying a certain house that, thank you God, I didn't buy. And the real estate agent let sleep on it. And I was going to put a contract on it. And the next morning, someone had already bought the house. They'd already had a contract and beat me to it. And I was like, okay. But the Spirit says there's something better. And oh my Lord, and I'm so grateful that I got to something better and didn't settle for. But now the house that I visualized, it met some of the criteria of what I want, and the feeling was there, but the Spirit says there's something better, that now all the feeling that I have is found in the home that I own. Okay? Everything I wanted is right there. You know, there's a sense of real, satisfaction. Okay?
And feelings are deep, are they considered deeper thoughts?
Yes, because there's a sense of when you feel something. It's the knowing and the feeling. It's the intellect and the feeling, the emotion. They're coming together that are the creative force that just ignites something. So what is it you know and what is it you feel? Put them together, and this is how we manifest. So if I know God is making a way and I feel God is making a way, even though I don't know how God is making a way, I don't need to know the how. I just know and I feel, and that ignites the wonderful power of manifestation that happen within our life. Because, trust me, you don't need to know the how. Leave the how up to God. Your job is not to figure out the how. Your job is to simply trust. And trust is knowing and feeling. That's what true trust is. I know in my mind, and I feel it in my heart. It's mind and heart coming together in a sense of oneness that ignites the faith that manifests the miraculous. Does that answer your question?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's, like I said, it's a topic we can keep going on and on about.
David, did that answer yours?
It did. I guess I read something recently in the Science of Mind magazine, in one of the daily readings, and it was saying that when you treat for something that you desire, you don't, the how is not your business. But it made a comment about the who, what, where, and how. You know, I got stuck on the word where. So that's why I asked the question about if the universe knows the desires of your heart. Okay, so the universe knows that I desire to remain here in Georgia.
Then that's the feeling.
That's the feeling.
I want the feeling of I don't want to be removed. I want to feel close to friends and family. I want to be close to this environment. The feeling is I don't want to be uprooted. And even though there may be a beautiful manifestation of a home in Alaska, right. I don't want to go to Alaska. I want to stay here. So I know that the feeling is I'm not being uprooted. The feeling is I'm here and I am with family and friends and around. That's the kind of home that I want.
Yeah,
yes.
I tend to think that if any condition you put on it, it's got to be this, it's got to be this, then you're not really stepping out in faith.
Right.
Because you're saying the Spirit might not know. The universe might not know what's best for me, and therefore I got to be explicit. I mean, I understand the whole what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but I do feel that the universe knows deep down what it is. That's why I feel like the better should always be the goal. The better.
Right.
I see what's good for what I would like,
right.
But I also know there's something better, and therefore focus on the better. Now, I guess you could say this is what I have in mind. Could the manifestation of something better happen?
Right. Sometimes the visual, like a picture on a vision board, helps you with the sense of knowing,
Yeah.
and then you create the feelings around that picture.
Right.
And let's
right,
be
right.
very, this is where we are not vague about our feelings. Be very specific.
Right. Okay, so the vagueness is you can't be vague about your feelings.
Right.
That's,
Okay.
That's really what I would say. What happens in vagueness stays in vagueness. When you're vague about, well, I don't know how I feel about that, or I don't know if I really care about that. But what feeling do you want in this house that you're going to buy? Let's just say that David's bringing up. If you want that house, describe and script out the feelings, journal the feelings. Does it feel comfortable? Does it feel at home? And what do you see yourself, the feelings you see in that home? You know, I walked, one of the first houses I bought, I wanted this doors swinging open, French doors swinging open to the backyard, letting fresh air in. I wanted this feeling of being one with nature in the home. We looked at several homes, and the home that I bought in East Point years ago had these French doors in the dining room, opened up to a beautiful patio. I could have just the fresh air. It was almost like the dining room was outdoors. It felt that way when you open up these big French doors, and just the feeling that I had. This is the feeling I had. I wanted this. And it came in this shape and form of somehow connecting with the outdoors in the indoors, shall we say.
Right, but what I'm saying is that don't be too focused on the form.
Right.
Right.
Because you may find that feeling happens in a different form. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. How beautiful. There's been many a woman who has been dreaming of her dream man. And this dream husband is going to be 6 foot tall, dark hair, and, he's going to do this or that. And suddenly the Spirit of God brings her a man who is 5'6" and bald and whatever. But the feeling was immense and wonderful and incredible. How many of you watched Sex in the City? And the who was the picky woman? What was her name? That was just perfect. Everything was perfection. One of the 4. Anyway, she always thought she was going to have this perfect husband. And then she meets this guy who is a Jewish guy who's bald and short. She's not anything at all. But he made her feel immense and beautiful and wonderful and loved. And he became the love of her life. But it wasn't exactly what she thought the love of her life should look like. What she got in life was something that matched the feeling. That I want someone to make me feel this way.
So you can't have a feeling of tallness.
Yeah. Well, if that helps you, and what is the feeling of tallness about? Is it height, or is it just the feeling that makes you feel cared for,
Yeah. Really.
loved?
Yeah.
So that's the feeling you want to talk about. And whatever height it is that matches that will give you that feeling. So yes, but someone may make you feel just very, very loved and cherished, or whatever, or cared for, or secure, no matter what they may look like. Just go for manifesting the feeling. And in the knowing that the universe knows best, it's going to match that feeling with the manifestation that is the best, this or the something better. And sometimes the this is perfect.
Yeah, right.
And it's not always that, oh, you were so wrong with that. No, the this could be just perfect. It's the this, or the universe has something better in mind.
Yeah.
Chris Starkey also had another comment.
Chris, you've got another comment. Let's hear from Chris.
If not this, then something better. Or
Wonderful. Yes. Excellent. All right, Ann, let's continue on.
I was watching Dr. Phil today, and there was a man on there, and he was making excuses for not doing certain things. And he shrugged his shoulders and he said, I'm just human. And Dr. Phil said, what do you mean by that you're not perfect? So a new thought, we scrap that thought.
Yes.
We're divine. We're perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Move into the feeling now. Connect the thought
Yes.
with your heart and see it happen.
Beautiful. Excellent, Ann. That is so true. Wonderful. Feel it. You're not just human. You're divine creation.
Exactly.
You are already perfect. And realize your perfection. Stop discounting what the beautiful creation you are that God made you. Yes, you are perfect already. You are fantastic. Now see yourself from how God sees you. All right. Thank you so much for joining us tonight in our class and great discussion. I always love the comments, the insight, the inquiry. It's a wonderful experience to have in learning together. If you've enjoyed tonight's class, we really appreciate your generous support of the Emerson Institute. You can go to our website at www.cityoflightatlanta.com, and there's a donate button. You can make a donation of your appreciation for the teaching, the insight, the learning experience that we've shared together. I am knowing that God has something amazing on store for you. I'm claiming it. I see it already unfolding in you, through you, and around you. I speak with that word of expectancy. I look forward to seeing you next week as we continue our study at 7 p.m. on Tuesday. Join us Thursday at 10:30 a.m. for another class on the Book of Truth, or Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. for our celebration service. God bless you. I'll look forward to seeing you again.